Hey, everybody. Just wanted to take a moment there to see if I could clear this picture up because it always appears as though there's a fog, like a mist. Do you see that? I don't know why that is. But anyway, today we got a serious message. Today we got a serious message. God wants to rebuke us. He wants to rebuke us because, well, is not obedient to God today. Okay? The title of this message is The Resistant Church Gets Rejected. Okay? And he wants to ask this question: why are you resisting me and my prophets or my messengers? And then when he said that to me, I also heard the word stubborn. Okay? Stubborn. I heard the word stubborn. So I did a real quick word study on, and then have a few commentaries. Okay? Now, basically, this word stubborn and resisting God takes the form of the people are still not coming aside with me, to hear me, to spend time with me. And I am their only security, and they will not spend time with me. Today's church wants everything happy, joyful, positive. But in the meantime, they can't handle the truth. Why don't you want to know what God is saying today? That's a good probing question we need to ask ourselves. Why do people want to continue on? I'll tell you why. Because they're not really born again. And we're talking about 90% of the people that call themselves saints or born again Christians would rather go and stay in love with the world. Okay? They don't want to come aside like Moses was called aside to go up to the mountain and be with God and receive the revelation. Okay? Now, the first place I want to go is Deuteronomy 21:18. Rebellious son. Obey the voice of his father because you're too busy. You're too busy doing things that don't matter. Okay? Too busy doing things that don't matter. You don't take time to come aside with the Lord. Or the voice of his mother, and that when they have chastened him, will not listen to his parents. That's the church, okay? Then shall his father and his mother, and they shall say unto the elders of the city, he is a glutton and a drunkard. Well, let's not even go there. And all the men of the city shall stone him with stones, that he dies. So shalt thou put evil away from among you, and all Israel shall fear and hear and fear. This is what's the consequences of not listening to God and not coming aside. Okay, is what we as a church are facing if we don't give God his due and come aside and be with him and hear his instructions. Okay? Everybody wants to go to a church that's nice and happy and we have our playtime activities. And they just have fun and fun and fun, and I'm not against having fun. But they will not listen to the messengers of God. I mean, the churches are still resisting. Okay? Now, let's go to the next occurrence. This is in Judges 2:19. And it came to pass when the judge was dead that they returned and corrupted themselves more than their fathers in following other gods to serve them and to bow down unto them. They ceased not from their own doings, nor from their stubborn way. Okay? They ceased not from their doings. The Lord. And there's consequences of this, and we're going to go through some of them in just a minute. Let's go to the next one. 1 Samuel 15:23. For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. That's what it is right there. You want to do your own thing rather than God's thing. That's what Cain, sin of Cain, was he wanted God on his terms, not on God's terms. 90% of the church today, maybe a little bit more than that, wants God on their terms. Okay? For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. Idolatry is putting something before God that next. Let's go to Psalm 78, 8. The 7. Psalm 78, 7 and 8. That they might set their hope in God and not forget the works of God, but keep his commandments. That set not their hearts aright, and whose spirit was not steadfast with God. See, here's the problem. 90% of the church, their spirits are not steadfast with God. Well, what is that a description of? That's a description of people who are not even born again. Okay? They're not even born again. Got 90% of the church now today that's not even born again, and they think they are. It's a bogus experience. Okay? They're always being told what to do. They always want to be told what to do. They're not growing up. They're not maturing. Now, here's my point. The churches today are still resisting God's prophets and messengers because they do not want to change. And pastors think they will lose control. Yeah, that's right. God wants to take control. It's all about control today. Okay? Let's take a look at the consequences for resisting God. Look at what happened to Jonah. You know, he went in the opposite direction of what God wanted. Why? Because of what he was thinking. He had fear, which was false evidence appearing real. And he by doing what he did, by running in the opposite, people are playing in the valley, just like in Moses' day. They're playing with the golden calf down in the valley. This is where the church is today. We see Ananias and Sapphira. That was, hey, I got my own agenda. I said I was going to do one thing, but I decided that I wanted to do this. So I held back some of the money, and basically that was God on the. This is what the church, the people in the church are exercising right now. That's what they want to do. They want their own business now. And why do you think that God should bless us if this is our condition? Korah's rebellion. They opposed Moses. They opposed his prophet, just like the churches are doing today. Why do you think that your church should be blessed if they're going to resist God's prophets? You know what happened? That was open rebellion, and the earth was opened up, and they were killed. God will kill the 90% that are resisting today. He can't use them. So they are like the tares amongst the wheat. It wasn't the parents that came out of Egypt that went into the promised land. It was their children. The parents had to die off. Why? Stiff-necked and rebellious and stubborn were the parents. Okay? God is moving and shaking, uncovering hidden truths, purposely hidden until today. Revelation is he wants to get out to the people. He wants to get new revelation out to the people, and the people are resisting by doing their own to-do list. It doesn't get out. We become like Korah in the wilderness. We become like the parents in the desert. We become like Ananias and Sapphira. God says, stop resisting me. I don't want to destroy my people. You're still not coming aside with me. No, people don't like some of the things I say, but I've got to deliver it because that's what he told me to say. Okay? So, a word to the wise is sufficient. Appropriate this into your thinking.